Happy Sunday. So I thought I'd do a little video because I haven't been out by the chickens and the chicken tractors for a while, just to kind of show you what they're doing and what's working for us this year at this time of the year. So Sean finished feeding the chickens and bringing them fresh water, collecting their eggs today, and so we're just kind of checking on them for the night. And so when we do our chickens, we ferment their grain up to 3 days ahead of time. And then when we spread their grain, we spread it in 2 rows on the sides of the door into the area where they're going to be going into. And so that when we pull the chicken tractor forward, all our chickens sort of start grazing on the grain and the grass, and they kind of leave a lane for us to walk through in the middle. So we go in and just collect eggs and take the water out and clean it out before we put it back. And it just encourages that natural foraging habit of theirs. And they scratch everything up. And they go into fresh pasture every day. All right, guineas. And then this is what it looks like behind them. So right after they come off of it, they've trampled everything, they've fertilized it, and then Sean keeps a bucket of seed that we use on our pasture, and he just throws some on the area where they've been. Well, while it's just heavily fertilized and it has more contact with the ground, and then you can see not long after they've been in here. So this is about let me see. I'd say yes, it increases the carbon in the soil, and when we get about here, this is about a week after they've been there. And then when I get to the end of this path, that was maybe 2 weeks since they've been on this grass down here. You can see, like, this is some of the new seed that Sean throws down. So that's coming up less than 2 weeks later. So I'd say this is about the 2-week mark from, yeah, it's greened up so much from when they were here. And then the area next to them was about a month, maybe a month and a half. You can see that where they have been, it's a lot greener. So this is the path that they were in before. This would be about 3 weeks. And then this is all the area that they were in before when they were coming in this direction. And so where they are now, if you look next to it, that was maybe a month and a half before. And it's all going to seed. So this is all grown back. You can see everything's recovered nicely. It's growing out. There's a lot more clover. And so this area next to it, we've already run them through all this area last year and previously. And then the year before, or the season before, we did across the lane. That's all growing out for hay right now. So by the time the cows get here, you can see that they really only took up very little of the paddock that the cows will be in at any given time. They don't really take much of their forage, but what they give back as far as fertilization and what they do to the land is so beneficial. So like this would be just over a month from where they are now. And you're out here more than me, so what have you seen as you're doing this over the past year or so?
Pause.
Okay.
Well,
Sean's not my talker. I'm the
well,
more of the
what I
talker.
can say is, I think it's just a lot better for the land, and we don't have to pay for fertilizer, and we get a lot of free eggs.
Lots of free eggs. So, well, I wouldn't say free, but
Yeah.
they're the best quality. So if you look at what we also use organic feed from a local feed supplier, so we were able to support a local business, and so the feed that we use for our chickens here, not only are we supporting that other business, but we know that what's going into them is just so much more nutrient dense, so what's coming out of them and that what we are getting to consume is just a better quality egg. It's fantastic, you know, so the nutrient density is a lot more. So, and then you can just kind of see the comparison behind me of where they were here, where they just got off of, and then what they're going on to. You really can't tell the difference as far as a loss, and that will be recovered within a month or about a month later. So we're really happy with the way that we've been doing it. The reason that we don't have our electric netting fence around them and are just letting them free range, so there's a couple reasons. One is we wanted what they're fertilizing to be really concentrated where they are.
Right. A little
But
more isolated.
But what happened when we were just letting them free range?
They'd wander too much, and we had a fox problem.
Yeah, so we lost.
Even with the dogs. Oh,
yeah.
We didn't have the dogs back then.
In the beginning, we didn't have our livestock guardian dogs, and so I do highly recommend good livestock guardian dogs. Maisie, I'm talking to you. Maisie, are you a good girl? So she's been great. They're all great, and we really haven't had as much of a fox problem as we did in the beginning. But
big difference.
When the grass starts to get longer, even with good livestock guardian dogs, it's hard for them to see everything that's going on around them. And so the chickens will kind of disappear into the grass. And then foxes are just really smart. So they'll come and just pick them off.
Lay low and pick them off.
And you can lose, a flock of 50 in a little over a month. They can just take one or two a day, and then you're losing hundreds and hundreds of dollars in chickens. And so, it's a 6 to 8 month grow out process before you're getting your first egg. And so, although we use them for fertilizer and we use them for lots of other things, there's a lot of work that's invested in getting the chickens to this point. And so keeping them safe, especially during a high predator season, is just where we are right now, is to get that under control and to try to have a year where we have a lot fewer losses. And so it's okay they're still getting onto fresh pasture every day. They're still getting all the air and sunlight, all the bugs and stuff, really good grain and beautiful life, but they're protected from the predators around them. And then our other chickens are up closer to the house, and they have a much larger coop, and they have a guardian dog that's in there with them as well, because we would have foxes just come in regularly and pick them all off.
Yeah.
And so that's what we found is working for us for now. We have some plans for the future to be able to get them to where they have even more freedom than this, but for right now, if we were to let them out, they just it wouldn't be a good idea. And then it would also mean that every night we'd have to come in when it's dark and make sure everybody's in there, count them before we lock up the coops. And I'm working out of the house a lot, and so that just makes one more thing that Sean has to do at night to close up shop, so to speak. So it works out better for us to have this system where they are safely contained every day, but they still have lots of a good chicken life and good freedom. So
yeah, and I like the more concentrated fertilization and the seeding right behind it.
Yeah,
It seems like it's just working really well that way.
Yeah, I know. It seems like the seeds just really do well. They have more contact with the ground because they're coming right in contact with it right after the
After
chickens.
they've disturbed the whole ground area behind it
Right.
or
So
under them.
so it fertilizes what's there, but then we're able to get more diverse species onto our pasture in a concentrated way, like, just a little at a time. It can be hard to do that with fescue and with some of the more persistent perennial grasses, which we're grateful to have. But when you're trying to bring more diversity in, having that seed have the ability to have contact with the ground and then have a good dose of fertilizer has worked, well for us. And I think over time,
Real well.
just continuing to do that is going to transform this pasture into something even better over the next 5 years. So anyhow, that's it. That's what we're doing with our chickens. So like, subscribe, and share to Fulham Family Farm, and follow the adventures of our family of 8 that move cross country from the Northeast to the Missouri Ozarks with no farming experience and what we've learned along the way. So have a great day.
Take
God
care.
bless you.
Bye.